Stream elements. Student pilot is now live. Final call for flight MKA 1299 boarding now. Streaming Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Flight Simulator 2024, Learn to Fly, Beginner Pilot Training, Live Q&A. Stream elements. Student pilot is now live. Final call for flight MKA 1299 boarding now. Streaming Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
Good evening, fellow pilots. How are you guys and ladies tonight? All right, we're flying this beauty today. It's the PC-12, Pilatus PC-12. One of our members has asked a question, as you can see in chat, how do we go from door to door in a PC-12 using RNAV and VNAV on airports that don't have listed approaches? So the answer to that question is obviously we will be going through. We'll go from cold and dark all the way up, setting up the PC-12 here, beautiful aircraft. Please bear with me. I haven't flown this in quite a while, so if we crash, that's why we have insurance. So, all right. So today we're going from taking this aircraft from Archerfield, just in the bottom part of Brisbane. And we're going to be flying to, which doesn't have any approach chart. It is actually a sand runway, it looks like, or dirt runway. I'll show you where we're going to today on Navigraph. If Navigraph is going to work, and no, she's not. That's all right. Oh, wrong one. Oh, one too many. That's when we do the long flights and get an in-flight movie. All right, so I'll just set up Navigraph now. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. There we go. Now it's done. All right, so we're going to be flying to this airport here. So I'm going to change my screen so I can. All right, this one here, which is Dunwich. So it's a little tiny runway. So hopefully we can get onto it without run off the end. But this aircraft does have a reverse thrust, so we should be okay. But hey, let's have a bit of fun while we're at it too. So, all right, so we're going to this airport here. We'll just zoom in a bit more. It is on the other part, over the water from Brisbane itself. So pretty much we'll be taking off from over here. Archerfield is just here, and we'll be flying over here. This one does not have any approach. So obviously, to use RNAV, we can use RNAV and VNAV to obviously come over to the airport and set us up for final. From there on in, you can do it 2 ways: either full visual approach, fly over the runway at 1,000 feet, then fly a traffic pattern, and then come in on the runway that you want to land, obviously with a headwind. Today is going to be a calm weather, so no wind at all, just to make it a bit easier for us. So we'll go from there. Yeah, so let's get started. So I'll show you how to set up a flight plan. So obviously, like you said, we're flying from just over here. Might come to fly over to here, come back down, and come to the airport. So just click on this, get me if we've got, yep, so it's a waypoint nav marker. So we'll fly to there, then come back, set up for a final, and come around and land. All right, so let's get things started. All right, so first things we have to do is obviously check the aircraft. I know it's a sim, but I do like realism. So we'll take all these stuff off here, otherwise we don't move, which I did last night when I was practicing. It's like, why aren't we moving? Oh, I forgot to take the wheel jacks off. All right, let's take that off there. Obviously, when you do your walk around, obviously check all the wings, check the wheels, check the propellers, go inside the engine, check that out, check the oil, and then you come into the aircraft. We won't do it. So, come on, open up. Not opening. There we go. Oh. Let's try the mouse, shall we? Then we'll get hit in the head. There we go. Alright, so we're inside now. Quite easy aircraft. All we have is obviously there's no blue levers or red levers for conditions or anything like that, or to feather, blue lever, which is to feather the propeller. Obviously that's all done automatically. All we seem to have is obviously our throttle, which then can also go into reverse, as well as our flaps. Okay, so we start off All right, make sure the parking brake is turned on, which it is, and then we can start turning on the power. So we come up here. All right, first thing we need to do, obviously we don't have any external power at this particular airport. So first thing we'll do is test our emergency power system. So we're testing our emergency power system now. Obviously it is working, so just in case that your batteries fail or anything like that in the air, this will automatically come on and give you enough power to get down and land. So this is your, just in case all these other systems here fail, like your batteries and generators fail, that is what helps you out. So that working, so we'll turn that on. All right, next thing we'll turn on is make sure our avionics 1 is on. Batteries are now turned on. All right, system should start coming up. Go. Our systems are up and running now. All right. Next thing we'll do is turn on the A-bus 2. All right, so batteries are both on. We're going to start the engine soon, so nav and beacon lights are turned on. We will have a half a tank of fuel for today. It should be more than enough even for us to muck around here on the ground at this stage. So obviously, you know, your pilot's view here. You can also, I'll go through that a bit later, we'll go through that. Let's get these engines on first so before we run out of battery power, which I have done. All right, so obviously we have, I'll just get up ATC, pretty much nothing. Going to be going out via VFR rules today. Beautiful skies out there, so we don't have to worry about clouds or anything. So everything's done. All lights are on. Generators are still off. We'll turn that on shortly. All right, so first thing you do, turn the engine on, set it in the run position. Then hit this once. That will start the engines running. Starter ignition is on. Alright, she comes alive.
At Rudolf Klusel. Hey. A new Chanel about flying? Sign me in smiley face.
Yeah, I know, I love flying too, Every single flying thing I come across online, I sort of sign up and love it, man. I absolutely love flying. I'm actually doing my private pilot's license these days, or RPL, which is recreational pilot's license, which I trying to afford little bit by little bit, but especially with 6 kids, so there's not much money to spare sometimes, but getting up in the air is absolutely lovely. Even with the 172, it's so nice to fly. So easy to fly too, actually, but it is way different than flying on the sim. Everything's so much stiffer. So if you don't use your trim tab in the rule aircraft, you really know what your hands feel like being sore and tired. Oh, mate. Alright, so engine is now running. Alright, turn on generator 1 and generator 2 on. Alright, so everything, and we turn on our standby bus as well. So that's everything to set up and get ready to rock and roll. Alright, so we'll just double check and make sure we have done everything. So as good pilots, you always check your checklists, okay? No matter what, you know, this is 99% of the time after you guys get your license. And they, you know, and you get comfortable, you go through the honeymoon stage of, oh yeah, you're checking your checklist all the time to, you know, getting out there, getting your private license. And I've seen so many stories that, you know, you guys relax like everything else. You know, when you drive the car, you know, for ages you relax, don't you? You don't check the engines, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's the same with flying. And this is what causes most of the accidents. People just relax too much and they don't do their, you know, your checklists. Man, you know, even when I fly, even if I've done it a billion times, I always go through the checklist. There's always one thing I forget. So, all right, so avionics switches are on, parking brake is set, standby power is on, EPS, which is emergency power system, has been tested and is now armed. Batteries are on, landing gear, okay, as you can see, are all three. And fuel quantity has been checked. All right, we've got to start engines. Navi lights are turned on, beacon we turned on. If you guys want to see that one more time, if you just joined, obviously all your lights are here, all your electrical systems are here. So generators, your two batteries, emergency battery power over there, and your avionics and standby bus, which is like a standby power thing. So CAS check, which is obviously anything wrong with the aircraft, which is down here. We have no instrument or nothing shown, so that's good. Power mark, yep, that's done. We started it. Check oil pressure. Oil pressure. Where are you? Wrong screen. Here we go. Oil pressure is in green and oil temperature is in the green. So we're all good there. And generators have been turned on. So pre-flight checklist has been complete. If you're wondering why I haven't done this one, so obviously, you know, we have, you know, gone out, done the chocks. If you want to be, you know, realistic, feel free to go through and, you know, check all these things. Obviously, in real life, you know, every walk around, even with the Cessna, I've walked around and had to do the chocks, climbed up on the Cessna's wing and checked the fuel in the top, make sure the gauge, so the fuel caps are in properly, everything like that. Check your tire pressures. Make sure you check all your brakes.
Stream
make
elements.
sure the brakes aren't.
Follow me on Twitch Road to affiliate https://www.twitch.tv/student-pilot.
No rivets are missing and so on and so forth. But in the sim, you know, if you feel like realism, I do it sometimes. But all right, so before takeoff checklist, obviously this is just before we take off. We'll set our flaps. Make sure the controls are nice and free. Internal separator will be turned on.
Stream elements.
And if you're wondering what the internal
Join the
separator
chat. Let's talk
is,
anything at all.
so,
IRF Corporal Student Pilot.
so
any
on
questions
is on,
at all?
so
Just
open
ask.
is on
Here
and
to
closed
help.
is off. So this is a different section in your engine of these, especially turboprops, which actually closes off a section in the engine. I'm not sure exactly. It closes off a section in the engine so you don't pull in debris or snow or water into your turbine, which can damage it. So anytime you can get some of the debris, or if it's snowing, rain, I'd have to check up. It does say if it's really rainy, you do have to turn it on. So obviously you don't want to get water in your turbine, so you turn it on there. And then, yeah, so that stops the engine from getting damaged. So obviously we'll do it on taxi and on takeoff. So we'll get that done in a second. So we'll do that in a second. All right, so that's checklist complete. All right, so we started up now. And now we're going to put in, let's get a bit closer for you. Now we're going to put in a waypoint and how to put in waypoints with this particular system. All right, so origin is YBAF, which is where we are now at Archerfield. Our destination will be that other airport. I can't remember the... Zoom in, give me 2 secs. So YDUN. So click that and then you go down to the bottom screen. Or if you're on Xbox, you can actually click this here and it'll bring up the Xbox screen. So, alright, so we're coming YDUN. YDUN. And we push enter. Alright, and then we go insert. And there you go, it's inserted it for us. And obviously we go activate. And that's your, well, will turn magenta once it clicks in. But at this stage we have our first waypointing. So obviously we want to go to a different waypoint. We don't want to go directly to the airport. So we wanted to pick that other one. So let me just get the information on that. So it's called Amity. So AMITY. So we click on, obviously we don't want to put one after this one. We want to put it before. So we can click on this one. We go amend route. And then we put in a new one. So this will be AMITY. AMITY, and we push enter. We go back. Alright, so there it is there. She doesn't like, okay, she obviously doesn't like putting that in. That's fine. That's alright, we'll keep it like this now. Obviously, is there another one we can put in? Honestly thought that was really going to work, but anyway. We can also look at, we can go by Brisbane if you want to. Fly over Brisbane. That you're not really supposed to do, but it's only a sim. Let's go have some fun. Alright, so we'll go amend route. And we will go click on this. YBBN. Another way you can do it is actually through your electronic flight bag and set up a one in here too. Obviously when you do career mode, it will actually already, you know, put in the flight pen for you, but this is if you want to do it manually. So alright, so that's been done. So we'll activate that and we'll fly from here. So this discontinuity, that's a long word. Alright, so we want to delete that way. We don't want to have any of those. So we delete that. Bang, activate. So now we'll fly directly here and then we'll come here and do our flight pattern over there. So like I said, there's two ways you can land an aircraft on particular airports if they don't have you know, a RNAV approach, ILS approach, or anything like that. There are different ways you can do it. A, you can come in and land visually and do a circuit and then come in to land. That's one way. Second is obviously you can actually go, so we go to, so we're done flight plan. Obviously your speeds when we get up there, so takeoff. Obviously 82 is roughly the VR speed, which stands for rotate speed. So at 82 we can start pulling back and taking off the runway. VX is the best speed for getting high or pitch up, get the most altitude in the less distance. And your VY speed is obviously the best climb rate. So it's basically this nice, you know, you get same distance, the same height sort of ratio. So that's roughly what you want to do usually, unless you've got obstacles at the end of the runway. Then you want to get up as quick as possible without, you know, going as far forward as what you want. So, and obviously VT, I've tried to look that up. I can't actually figure out what VT is, but it's this type of speed, obviously. I've looked it up. I can't find what T is at all. So honestly, I don't know what VT is. I've seen it in this aircraft a few times. I haven't figured out what that is. So if you guys know, feel free to put it in the descriptions, and we'll teach each other while we're there. So obviously, here is the 10,000 feet. Is the transition around here in Brisbane. I just go 100. Don't have to pull in the rest of the zeros. Alright, so it's done. I keep pushing the wrong button. Alright, here we go. So we'll go back here. Alright, so we set up our basic waypoint. Obviously, you can set one better up in the EFB and then transfer it directly into here. But for now, this is pretty good. Yep, so you come here. So obviously, like I said, it doesn't have an approach, so the autopilot won't fly one. You will have to fly it. But it can give you a basic approach. So if you actually go to, all right, so we come to arrival. We've got 33. And if you guys know, obviously, you know, if you don't know, 33 is 330 on your compass. So that's the direction that the runway is facing, 330. Always put a 0 on the end. Runway 15 will be 150. So we're going to be coming to either visual. So 330 would be, so that's 36. 33 is this way, so we can either come landing this way, or we can come landing, because it is calm weather today, so it won't make a difference. But I think we'll go 33. So we go 33, and then we go visual, because obviously we're going to have a visual approach to the runway. Either you can go vectors, which you ask the ATC or site of how to get there, or if you're finding it hard and you need a little bit extra time and stuff like, you can go straight. And straight actually adds a line, so we're 330, so it's roughly this way. So straight will actually give you a line, and then like a final approach. So with all those, if you have trouble landing, set it to straight, and then that final little bit will be, we can obviously going to here, but it'll give you that little bit extra, so we'll fly directly to the straight line, and then we can fly back, and it'll put you on the path of what the actual runway is if you put it on straight. So if we insert that in, see what I mean? And there it is there. And then it would also give you what height you should be at that particular point before you come down to final. Well, this is your final here. It's like a long final. So final will be roughly, normal finals will be roughly here. That gives that just a tiny bit extra to, help you and to come down to land. So that's the best way I find, especially with airports that you don't know. Like I know this, or the one we're going to, I don't know. So, but Archerfield and stuff like that, I fly, out of quite a few times, even in real life. So, but this will be quite interesting. So I'll show you that on the way. So we'll activate that. So we put that in, we're activated, done. Now we'll get rid of this. I'm not going to say the word again, or you can laugh at me. Discontinuity. Whew, long word. Alright, so pretty much we're going to be flying, bang, come down, and then curve around to final. We could overtake there, and then we'll come around a little bit further. We'll see how we go. Alright, so landing is done. Takeoff is done. So obviously you can put this into the nice, what's it called? What's it called? Sorry, sim brief, and actually put in your aircraft, and you can work out, with your weight and how much. Obviously, we're pretty low in weight today, so all these numbers are correct. I have checked before, so that's all done. Obviously, initialization has been done. Obviously, weights and balances. We have no passengers aboard. Got no cargo, and our fuel is correct. So we're at 12 max wind thing, but that's all correct. So it's done. If you do have passengers aboard, put in how many passengers. They're roughly about 150 pounds, which is about 80 kilos, and how much cargo. So you enter that all in there, and then you go compute, and then it'll update all these systems for you. Then you can go back and get your weights and balances inside. If you want to go that far, you don't really need to. If you're just for the swim, but if you want realism, you can go in, put it into sim brief under the takeoff and landing tabs, all free by the way, and then you can actually work out your work out all these, but these are pretty much correct. So all right, so we are done here. All right, ready for takeoff. So we have done. can also come here too. If you click this DU and CCD, this any like lower, that's the upper one obviously. You can turn, sometimes that stuff's around. That should be, you know, technically this one, and that should be technically that one, but anyway, there is a little bug. And that can turn off, as you can see. Turn and turn on your different things up here. All right, so we're pretty much ready to go. All right, so next thing we'll check is obviously flaps. Takeoff flaps will be 15 degrees. I'll set flaps now. You do also have a checklist here you can go through if you don't want to bring up your EFB, so go through that, but we've done the other one already. Check our trim. Obviously our trim has been set. We're in the green, flat wings, and everything is in the green, so we're all good there. Engine, everything is good there. Now we have to call ATC. All right, so we have to set up ATC, so it's either 119, you can push this here, or you can do it the proper way, which I'll do it once, then I'll do the cheat way. So we want to enter in the new code there, come down here to comms, and enter in the code, so 1999, enter. Rephrase that, it should be 119. Good. Alright, so we clear it. 1199. Enter. 11999, and then we go swap and close. Alright, so that's your standby. This is your active radio. So now that's been set. So obviously we'll be going runway 28, so we'll be heading 36, yeah, roughly in that direction again. So we are going to be heading north, so alright, request taxi north departure.
Archer ground, Pilatus Victor Hotel, Sierra Papa Papa with Charlie. Request taxi for takeoff, north departure.
Pilatus Victor Hotel Sierra Papa Papa, taxi to and hold short of runway 28 right using taxiway. Contact tower on 12.3.6 when ready.
Taxiing, hold short runway 28 right using taxiway. Pilatus Sierra Papa Papa.
Alright, so here we go. So we'll go down to this way and go on to the runway from there. Runway 28 is just right there. For some weird reason, I think they need to fix this aircraft. It really needs a feathering or something. The automatic feathering doesn't work. Because seriously, without the brakes on, and I haven't even touched the throttle yet, we seem to pick up speed quite quickly. Always riding the brakes. That's okay. Right now we're already doing ground speed down here. Just check that out. So if you want the ground speed, we're doing 2 knots now. Alright, so end of the runway. Alright, time to turn our loads, strobe lights on. We should have had taxi lights on, need landing lights on, and obviously we'll put it onto pulse, and obviously these on as well, but there's no passengers in here anyway. Alright, so we're ready to take off. Another thing you should do too is check weather. Obviously I have checked the weather. The weather is pure clear and stuff like that, which I set it to clear and no wind. So, but a good thing to get used to is to check your ATIS, which stands for Automatic Terminal Information Service, which gives you all your weather, your barometric pressure, your either inches in mercury, or the pressure we're on here in Australia, which is I can't remember how it is, but hydromatic pressure, and it'll be a 113. So we check there, so we set that, and it'll give us the information. You can't set it to COM2. I usually set it to COM2, then you turn on COM2.
Charlie 1000 Zulu. Wind com. Visibility 9er. Sky condition clear. Temperature 15. Dew point 1 tree. QNH 101 tree. Visual runway 28 right and visual runway 28 left.
It is in COM1 at the moment.
Runway 28 right and runway 28 left. VFR aircraft 6.
Alright, and there's the most important that we've listened to it, Charlie. Alright, so we have at the runway, so we hooked into the tower.
Archer Tower, Pilatus Victor Hotel, Sierra Papa Papa. Ready for departure to the north at runway 28 right. Pilatus Victor Hotel, Sierra Papa Papa. QNH 101 tree north departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 28 right.
Nothing too if you want, we'll just accept that. Turn it off.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28
Alright,
right.
another thing here,
Pilatus
if you push
Sierra
this
Papa
button
Papa.
here, you can actually turn on a few systems. So obviously, weather, TORS, which is, terrain awareness systems, WX, which is your weather, as well as if you turn this on, it turns this into a picture, so you can actually, in bad weather, it does help you try and land. Probably in real life, it doesn't really make a difference if this is on or off to try and land. You shouldn't be landing in real bad weather, especially if you can't see, especially without instruments. But that can help you in the sim because they do send you to some weird airports sometimes, and it's pitch black and you can't see anything. So it does make a difference, but just in the sim, not in real life. All right, so here we go. We're heading to the runway now. If you take a look at the runway here, obviously these arrows, if you ever see these arrows on a runway, you can actually take off from these arrows. Alright, so it's a little bit extra runway, but you are not allowed to land on these arrows. Alright, you have to land at those, see all those lines at the end there, that's the end of the runway. So from there on you can land, but you can actually take off from this. So, alright, here we go. So we'll spool up the engine now. Go the brakes. Keep it in center. Alright, rotate. You're up. Once we hit about 500 feet, we'll pull, right now, I'm pulling back on the yoke quite a bit to, keep us up in the air. So now let's trim that out. So we'll use the trim and then slowly let go of the yoke. Now I'm not holding the yoke at all, and I'm still going in the air. So I'll just get them.
Sierra Papa Papa. Leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
So today we'll go to about, let's go to about 4,000.
Frequency change.
Alright, and we'll do our right hand turn to go onto our, some airports, depending on the airports, you have to go actually either left or right traffic pattern. But for this sim today, usually I think this one here is the left one, but for the purposes of today, we'll just go right and then join our indicator thing here. So if you click on this little number here, you can zoom in by going down or zoom up. And so to zoom out, you push up. To zoom in, you pull down. Alright, so we're about here now. Alright, to get your autopilot to work properly, this is in most aircrafts. Alright, so you can pull back the power now. Alright. Could have put up the flaps a bit earlier, but I was too busy talking. Alright, so we'll just pause it here for a second. Alright, now that we have to trim up the aircraft again so we can... So we'll go to 5,000 today. We'll set the autopilot. First things first, we'll set heading. Click it so it's the heading that we're doing now. Alright, I'll put on heading mode. We'll put on auto throttle to keep the speed that we are now. We want to go a bit, we'll set that in a second, go to manual, and then you can change it and do it yourself. So we'll set it to about 150 knots. Alright, so we set it here. So it's all set, 150 knots. Oh, we're going way too high. That's alright. So we're at 6,000 today. We'll go to 6,000. We'll be good. Alright, so we're at the altitude 6,000, and now we'll turn on autopilot. Alright, we'll turn your dampener on and autopilot on. So it'll take us back down to 6,000. Alright, so auto throttle is on. We have set it to manual. Obviously, when you're flying long distances, you will keep it to FMS, and that's the automatic speed, like we were doing 230 knots. Obviously, we don't want to do 150 knots everywhere, but we want to enjoy and take a look around rather than speeding everywhere, because this thing is like a sports car. Alright, so heading mode, you either got track or heading mode. Heading mode is obviously, it will just go straight, exactly what heading you do. But in tracking mode, if you guys don't know already, it will still keep you at that heading, but it will take into account wind. So obviously if you've got a wind coming from the left going this way, it'll push your aircraft this way, and you'll come off your where you want to go, because we want to go directly ahead. Oops, and we have turned too much. That's all right. We'll do a 180 turn, and then we'll come back around and we'll intercept this, because yet again I've been talking and I missed out. But that's all right. So auto throttle, obviously that'll, you know, take it back up to 230 to what we set it up inside before, but obviously we don't want to go that quick. So we'll put it to manual mode. So we'll go 150 knots, and auto throttle is armed, which means it will automatically adjust the throttle for us. Alright, so altitude has been set. VNAV obviously will help you come down if you are running an approach. VNAV or anything, or RNAV approaches and stuff like that, that will help. Otherwise, you got flight level change and your versus mode, which then you can adjust how many feet per minute down or how many feet per minute climbing you want to do. And obviously flight director, autopilot is on, and your dampener, so it stops it from rocking and stuff like that. So alright, so we've come off the track, and you're wondering, you think to yourself, well, why isn't it, you know, you put NNAV on, and why isn't it turning around? It won't do that. With autopilot, you have to literally, oops, where are we going? Wrong one. Let's set it back up to the right one. There we go, this one. Actually, we'll go the other way, we'll go around that way. You have to actually intercept the line. So you switch it on while you're still in heading mode, and then you have to fly around and intercept the line. You have to fly over it, and then the autopilot will continue on to your proper flight path that you have entered in, so that line there. So we'll fly around, we'll have a nice look at Brisbane while we're flying around. Graphics aren't as quite as good as it does have a little bit of thing on the Xbox, but she's still good. So we fly around. So we'll fly this way for a little bit. Yep, so we're coming directly across our line. Alright, as you can see, Brisbane is directly ahead of us. Alright. We're at 6,000 feet at this stage. Alright, we are flying, as you can see, we are flying towards our line that we should be heading. So, and then we'll turn to the right a little bit and fly just at an angle, so the autopilot and it will pick this up. It'll turn magenta same as this. So obviously this means that it's on heading mode and we're doing 281. This, see, magenta, we are dialed in at 150 knots. And our altitude is not for some reason. We'll go flight level change and we can go back up to 6,000. See, automatically auto throttles engaged, and now we're heading back up to to 6,000. Sorry guys too if the internet is a bit laggy today. For some reason she's not coping the old internet out in the good old countryside. Fortunately we can't get ABN and the fibre optics out here. For some reason she's not coping tonight too well, so terribly sorry if it's a bit laggy. So see how we're just going to turn it, we're turning now and just going to hit it at an angle, and see, now it's turned the magenta. So heading mode has been deactivated and then we're running on nav now. So then it will follow our flight path. Alright, so obviously as you can see, top of climb, we're pretty much at top of climb now anyway. We need to be at 1,834 feet for our final before we hit this last point here. We're actually flying over Brisbane Airport coming up, which is definitely a no-no without getting permission, but hey, we're just simming now to learn the aircraft. Alright. If you have any other questions or anything like that you want answered, feel free to, you know, come on board, ask questions in the chat, or even just like and subscribe on the YouTube channel and go into community. And there's a comment, or sorry, there's a post in there where you can put in what you want to learn or anything your questions about, and we'll go through it on the live stream. So we can go through it together. New videos should be out within the next couple of days, just how not to chase the runway, and we'll get landing out of the way, and then we'll start getting into some more interesting stuff later on, bigger aircraft later on. Obviously starting the Cessna is the most easiest aircraft to learn how to fly and get your fundamentals done. Oh, we should have turned the internal separator on, but oh, that's all good. You know what I mean? Like if you don't check your you know, your checklists, then you forget something. So, but that wasn't too bad then. We've hit our top of our climb now, so obviously our top of descent will start here. This is where you can actually put NNAV in. But before it starts coming down, we need to put in the 1800. So we can come down, set it to 8, and then the big one does the big numbers. So come down to 1800. If we get message, obviously compare fuel quantity, we have compared, so it's okay. Don't have to worry too much, we can clear that, and that gets rid of the message and gets rid of the message here too. Alright, so with this particular aircraft, our landing speed, does anyone remember? If you you don't remember, that's fine. We come down to here. This again. Come to landing. Alright, so we're looking at best glide at 98. So 98 knots will be gliding down, and then obviously at landing, so VRF stands for your speed for final landing, and that's your best glide. So VGA is your best glide, and obviously I have no idea what VT is. I can't find it anywhere. I have looked one bit up, but I couldn't quite. Oh, VT, no, couldn't figure out what it was, so I'm not sure. Alright, so we're just flying our last path, and then we'll be landing. See if we can see it. I'll give you a bit of a tour of the plane, why not, eh? So this is the VIP version. Obviously, yeah, it's just quite a nice plane, but nothing too extravagant. Definitely the view's better from the back parts. She's quite nice. Alright, so we're back up here. Our runway is just over there, if you can see it. I think it, no, or is it this one? I think it's this one here. So she's like a, it looks like sandy type thing, so we're going to try and come land here. So first approach, we'll try and land with the, how we entered it in. So like I said, we entered it in as visual approach. So as you can see here, visual approach, so we set it up, go here, we've entered it as 33, so 330 is our degree of where the runway is. Visual for 33, and we set it up as straight. All right, and then you insert, and that gives us that extra bit there to come in for the landing. So we're starting to come down now, so we're on our descent. So if you put VNav on, make sure you set what the descent is, so 1800. Stuff like that. Alright, so we need to start slowing down now. Always like to be prepared a little bit, so we'll slow down a bit now, hitting now 15 degrees flaps. 15 degrees flaps. Runway is just where that hole is at this stage. So there's two ways, like I said, to come in for the landing. So we're going to do it this way, which gives you a rough idea of how and long, and then you come in. Or you can fly directly over the airport and then do a circuit and come in manually. So this is kind of automatic. We still are going to disconnect the autopilot and come in. But sometimes it doesn't quite get you low enough at the particular point. So we want to coming down. So 98 is our best glide. So let's come down to 98. And enter our next set of flaps, is at 30 degrees now. Alright, always think 2 steps ahead. Alright, you always have to, okay, I need to get my speed. Alright, we're coming pretty close now, we're going to turn very soon. See, we're still at 3,800, so we definitely need to come back out a bit, so we're going to need a little bit more room. So let's whoops, get into heading mode. So we see the runway here. There's the runway there. Nice little sandy runway. This should be interesting, hopefully. we get down quick enough and then we stop early enough. Alright, so then we'll zoom in a bit to give us a bit more approach. Alright, I'm going to fly out a little bit this way and then come back around a bit, so I need a bit more room. This is, as you can see, we're not quite getting down as quickly as I like it. So what you do is you do that, and then let's just come down. Need to get at 1800 by the time we actually, we need to be lower, because as you can see, it's 1800 at that point. We're pretty much, you know, halfway there, so need to come to at least 1000 at this stage, or even less. Just can't slow it down. Go down to 90 now. 83, I think, was the we'll set our full flaps in a second. Let's get slowed down. Coming up to 1800. Obviously we want to come down a bit more than that now. To 1000. Level change. Where is that runway? Directly to our left now. Probably right where that bloody wing is. Oh, all good. So I'll come to 1000 feet. Full flaps. Make sure our landing lights and everything are on, which I haven't. I forgot to turn off, so that's all good. So landing lights and everything are on. This is the automatic way to sort of help you get to might be a little bit low, it's not too bad. First time to this airport, so. And this should line us up to help you out, to help you line up for the actual runway, and then I'll take over from there. Slow back down again. Keep it at 93. Alright, so there's the runway ahead. As you can see, got bloody trees in the way, so it should be interesting. Right, so obviously we need to start coming down.
Autopilot.
Pretty close to the ground at this stage, that's okay. turn off auto throttle. Coming in a bit too.
Gear.
Landing gear down. Reverse, brakes. Alright, so we're here. Obviously this is not a very easy runway to land. We've got trees definitely on either side. But that is one way you can come into land, or you actually come in, set the particular runway up on your heading bar, and there we go, flaps up now. So we're doing 11 knots, increasing, and there's no throttle in it at all. Must be a switch somewhere maybe. All good, but as you can see, we should actually have the internal separator, because there's definitely dirt and stuff on this runway because it is made of dirt. So we're doing 20 knots now, and I haven't even put the accelerator in. I wonder if it does actually. Push the blue lever down, that doesn't seem to do anything. I'm not moving as quick, but still increasing, so. Alright, so that's definitely one way to do it. See if we can. I will have to turn down the bottom. The other way is obviously doing it manually. So flying over the center part of the runway, going left, even if you have to do a full circuit round to come back to 33, that's fine. Don't have to rush, give yourself as much time as possible. Like I said, if final feels like in my videos, feel free to check out the videos, great landing videos. My last video was, you know, if final feels rushed, then push it back a section. So if final's always rushed and you feel like, you know, you just don't have enough time, then put some of your workload back to base. If base feels, you know, rushed, put it back to, you know, downwind. Prepare, always, you know, prepare yourself for, you know, prepare downwind, get your speed under check, get it all trimmed out so it's nice and, you know, easy, and that makes finals so much easier. You know, you don't have to worry about, oh my god, my speed's too high, everything. Whereas, you know, you've already done that on downwind. But, you know, base was, whoop, we're going reverse. Base was, you know, a bit too rushed, but now it's, you know, nice and easy. Just have to turn onto final and land. So, alright, so we'll do one more turnaround. We'll do it the other way. So most runways don't actually, she's a bit bumpy, isn't she? Most runways don't have, you know, especially in the outback, don't have approaches. You have to do it the good old-fashioned way. So you should be flying around the airport, doing a pattern, and then coming in to land. You pilots out there, if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to write in chat and we can do a stream on it for you, or go to the community page on the YouTube channel and type in a question. Like I said, this was from one of you guys that needed some help, and we did a video on it, so I'm more than happy to do videos and live streams for you guys to help you out. So feel free to, you know, go to the community page and type it in. It's been pinned to the top, so you just have to put a comment in there of what you want to learn. We can go through airliners or anything like that. Obviously, we can go, yeah, anything, airliners, whatever aircraft you want. It's always fun to watch, you know, another pilot, you know, absolutely crash and burn, you know, not in real life, obviously, but, you know, on the sim, you know, because I've been flying this aircraft for quite a while, actually. Been doing the, obviously the Boeing 737 at this stage. Not, you know, completely perfect at it yet, but, you know, getting there. Alright, so we'll set 15 degrees flat. We'll take off, we'll do a circuit, and then we'll come and land back on this runway again. So before we go, we'll hit the, we'll come back down on visual straight again. Alright. So, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so we've set the heading bug for 324, so obviously the runway is roughly at that, so we can, and then we can change that so we can see it a bit better. So if we come up here to HSI, that actually, see, it changes it, and then all we have to do is put the heading bug in the different 90-degree quadrants, and then, you know, if we do it that way, we're going crosswind, because we are going left, by the way, left traffic pattern. If we put it down here, we'll be going downwind. Over here will be base, and then back here will be final. So you can sort of, you know, get that degree right, so you can do that full square and come back in. So, alright, so we'll set our takeoff a little bit higher this time. 15 degrees, all good. Lights are all on. Everything's good. Alright, ready to go. Fuel, how much fuel we got left? Ah, we've got plenty. Alright, here we go. Let's see how this goes. So, handbrake off, brakes on. She's sliding even with the brakes fully on. Brakes off. Speed is alive. Go a bit faster this time. Alright, up we go. So we need to get OC. This is when we want to go that little bit quicker to get over those trees. So those particular airports that have trees, we need to go that quicker. Alright, so we'll go. This time I'll just be fully controlled this time. Go up to about 1,200, I think, this time. A little bit further. Alright, we'll trim out now. Get rid of the pressure on the yoke. Alright, we'll do our crosswind now. So we'll lever out at about 2,000, and then we'll come back. So we'll do crosswind first. Laps are up. Set auto throttle to 150. 120 actually. So we're going crosswind, we're going a bit too far, that's right, just pull back a bit. Still heading down. Actually we will set it to 150. Doesn't like going that slow with our flaps. So 150. So at this stage we'll set it, we're going here. So airport should be just behind us there. Alright, let's go downwind. I'll put 15 degrees of flaps in. So now we're going downwind. As you can see, the magenta,
Autopilot.
magenta line is now facing directly behind us. So now we're on downwind. So if we look to our left, we can see our runway right here. Obviously, we know we need to be about 1800 at this point here to come back around. So we want to be about, I'll say about 1500 around here, and then we'll turn her in on base. So we'll come back down to 1500. It is paused at the moment. Oh, too much. Come to 13. I'll unpause it. Level change. Autopilot isn't on, so we'll turn autopilot on. Oh, no we don't. No, we don't want autopilot on, it's going heading mode. Right. So we'll keep it ourselves. So we'll come down, power off. So come down nice, we'll come down to roughly about 15. Going down too much, so put in a bit more power. Definitely got some kick, this particular engine. So you don't need much power compared to the Cessna to make it go up or down, so pitch up or pitch down I should say. Airport's just over there, just where our wing is, just behind our wing. Definitely terribly sorry guys about the internet quality tonight. It's really slow where I am, so if it is jerking and stuff, I am terribly sorry. So hopefully it's not too bad for you. Alright, so we're doing about 110 knots. We're coming down, coming to about 1300, where we will pitch up and trim back out. So we'll add a bit more engines in now, not too much. We're at 13 now. We're pretty much trimmed out, so we're going a bit quicker now, so we don't want to go that quick. Slow down. Yeah, this definitely will take a little bit of practice of flying this particular aircraft in. So we'll come for our base now. This particular aircraft in obviously without autopilot mode. Practice makes perfect, so you just keep going. So we're going a bit slow now. We can definitely start pulling in our next notch of flaps. The aircraft will need to re-trim, so we don't want to go back up again. We want to slowly start coming down. So re-trim, so we're just coming down, and then you can obviously adjust it. So we're doing about 101, slow down a bit. Want to do roughly about 98. Runway should be coming up, and I can't see it, but that's alright. We will fly towards our line. So we don't want to come too much lower than this at this stage. Going 98. We're going a little bit less, so add a bit more power. As you can see, I've pretty much already done 3/4 of my flaps. My speed is good at 98, which is the best glide. And then now I'm just lining up my runway, which we can't see it, I'll just over the bloody hill. That's okay. We just use our magenta line. That line will start coming slower, closer and closer to the center, which means or is it? It's not going to, is it? Oh, so we'll turn now. It's roughly, according to the map, roughly where it should be. Oh, it is coming down. We'll fly towards that. If you're not quite on it, just go a little bit less, or there's a runway ahead of us anyway. Alright, so we'll fly a little bit towards this way because we're a tiny bit off. So if that line is to your right, you need to fly right to center it. If that line is to the left, you need to fly left to center it. So a little bit there. Alright, slow down. Alright, now we can go, we'll go full flaps. And then we keep a runway roughly where we are now. Alright, we're a bit to the left, so we just fly a little bit to the left. Center it up. A bit less speed. Alright, landing gear. Landing gear's coming down. All green, landing gear is down. Alright, we're on center now. And just kind of keep it roughly where it is down. Now is about right. Coming down, oh, maybe a little bit higher. A bit less power. Catching up, we want to go a bit slower now. About 88, 87. We're pretty much on a good glide path now. A bit more power now. Need to, you know, you can always fly a little bit left and then bring it back with the pedals. Like that, center the runway with the pedals. Actually not a bad landing. Oh, good speed, yeah, we're doing good speed. Oh, I'll come drop down a bit. Trim it just up a bit. This is a better landing than I did the last time with the instruments. I think it came in a bit low the other time. So about 1200. Alright, that's alright. Alright, so coming in now, nice and slow. Now we can sort of slowly cut down our power. We're going a bit quick now. And we'll lift up a bit, slow us down. Floated a bit too much. Full reverse. Brakes. Reverse stop. Brakes stopped. And yeah, that's how you do it without to airports without any RNAV or anything like that. You just got to do it the old-fashioned way. And like I said, it all takes practice. So do those circuits, man. Like. If you do 5 circuits in a row, your landings are going to become butter. So the more practice, it makes perfect. So just keep practicing. And like I said, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to go onto my channel on YouTube, Student Pilot MTK. Check out the community tab. There's a post in there pinned about any questions you have. Put it in there. And then we'll do a live stream on it. And you guys can, you know, anything at all from any aircraft you need. Like I said, new video should be out. The next should be out tomorrow or the day after at the latest. And we'll go on there. There should have been a video last week. Unfortunately, I was sick, so I couldn't get out of bed. So I wasn't in the mood to sort of fly. It was just too hard last week. So, but yeah, definitely coming out very soon. Like I said, we've got, you know, many videos coming up, mainly about landing, because that is obviously the most important. And once we get through that, we'll do crosswind landings, and we'll get all through those. We'll get that out of the way, get all your fundamentals done properly, and then you can slowly, you know, using that trim. Definitely watch the video on the trim, because trim makes flying so much easier, especially landing. You trim that aircraft perfectly. You don't even have to, you know, pitch up or pitch down, which you shouldn't be doing. You should be using the throttles to pitch up and pitch down. Only pitch up and pitch down is only used to, you know, keep your airspeed at the particular thing. That's all explained in the next video coming out. Like I said, you know, any questions, feel free to type it in. I'm here for you guys. You know, I've been a flight simmer for ever since the first flight sim first came out on the 286 days. And then from there to, you know, A320, that other game, which was just A320s in that game. And then coming up here now. So I've been flying for quite a while, doing it now in real life, and I can tell you it's way different compared to the simulator. Like my joystick here is so much easier to, pushing the throttle and stuff. You literally have to, do weightlifting to push in the throttles on the real thing sometimes, especially the Cessna, which is the only experience I've got so far. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, the stream tonight. Yet again, I'm sorry that it's been so glitchy. It's just the internet shocking where I am at the moment. But yeah, keep flying, guys and girls. We'll get there together and see you guys in the sky. Thank you.